Now, I was talking on my channel today with Rob, who came up with a brilliant idea for a video, and it was just a simple idea that kind of populated my head while I was at work, pondering about what to do next for the channel. And it's a wonderful idea, and it's one of those ones where it leaves a lot to think about, I think. Now, the whole thing is about the collection. We amass movies. We're born collectors. We love film and we gather it. Sometimes we get things we love. Sometimes we get things we just like. Sometimes, every now and then, there is a movie in our collection that we just don't like, but it still stays there for one reason or another. And when you look at the large collections, when you look at a collection of over 1,000 movies, and I know some of you don't have this problem, and kudos for you for not falling into the trap of hoarding as well as collecting. When you look at your collection and you're struggling to watch what you have, which is something that I have as well at the moment, you're struggling to watch all of the movies in your collection. Why do we still collect? Why are we still gathering more products when we haven't gotten through the ones that we already have? I have mentioned before that I took a turn. I was like many other collectors, just gathering films and never really getting the use out of them. January 2020, I moved on and decided to watch every single thing I bought. And now thinking about it, I am really kind of curious about what the future holds. Ultimately, there's two things that are guaranteed from the moment you are born: death and taxes. And as I move on in my life and years, I got to look at the collection and wonder, what am I going to revisit? Why do I have titles in my collection? There are titles there that I utterly love, that I will go back to again and again. But hand in heart, how many movies out of my 2,500 Blu-rays that I have am I honestly going to go back to and visit? That's a scary thought, looking at a collection and going, will I ever revisit that movie? If the answer's no, why am I holding on to it? Why is it still in the collection? It's strange, it's weird, it's one of those unusual kind of questions that I think we very rarely stop and ask ourselves. And if you're anything like me, your other half probably doesn't share the passion that you have for these kind of things. What is ultimately going to happen to your collection when the inevitable happens and you die? Will it just be thrown into a trash heap? Will it be sold on to other collectors? Will it even be a thing there where it's worth anything at that point, or will it just be several boxes of rubbish needing to be dealt with? It's a kind of curiosity that I've been thinking about most of today. How many of my movies will I go back to and rewatch again? There's movies that's been in my collection that I've never watched for a number of years, and that kind of makes me want to both open them and watch them immediately, but realise that time is finite. It's not something that I have every possible minute ahead of me just to watch movies. I have other things to do in my life. I have work responsibilities. There is only a limited amount of free time. And if I'm spending all that free time constantly watching new purchases and the odd one from the collection, will I ever get through my collection? Will there be a situation where people are cleaning out my belongings after I have left this mortal coil and they're finding things still wrapped? Is it going to be a fun anecdote? My dad had all these movies things still wrapped. Ha ha ha, how silly was he? It's a kind of morbid idea, but I think it's something that puts a little bit of perspective on things when you stop and look at it. I think it was a great topic that was brought up, and I am rather curious about what you lovely film fans think about this, and I know there are other people on the channel who have considered these options. You know, have you spoken to your loved ones about certain items that are valuable within your collection to make sure that they don't just end up on a second-hand shop at some point? Ultimately, the collection is for me. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that I get a lot out of. I, of course, share my passion with my kids, and they are growing up a little bit, but physical media kind of marvels them. It's around them, so they are comfortable with it. And I would love to think that my collection is going to go into the hands of one of my children. But ultimately, I just don't know if that's actually going to happen. I would like to think it would. I like to think they cherish and love it as much as I have. But in reality, I don't think that's going to happen. So, with that in mind, I think I'm going to start being a little bit more tougher on myself. And I may do this within the form of a video where I go through certain collections looking at titles. It's going to be slow and steady as I start to navigate the curation of my collection. It's something that's been coming for a while. It's something that needs to be done. It's something that should have been started before now. There are certain movies that I will keep and I will love. There are certain movies that I am happy to have seen. But I just don't know if I have any urge to go and check them out. And there's other ways to keep a hold of things without having the actual physical disc, which is options as well. Anyway, that thought has spurred on the courage to start to look through the collection and realise the issues that are there. Things that don't belong, things that were nice to have at a certain time, but now I just don't need. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I would love to know your thoughts on this video. I am really quite curious, and yes, I'm talking about everybody dying. It's not the happiest of subjects, but it's a reality of being the collector. The things we leave behind, people are going to have to deal with. I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.